You're listening to the Breadcrumb Mojito podcast, hosted by Connor Whale.
I guess we've already started. Emma, welcome. Hey. Would you like a watermelon Negroni, pineapple chili mug?
I think we'll go watermelon Negroni. I don't know if a boozy thing is a super good idea at 10 o'clock in the morning, but
fair enough.
We'll enjoy it either way. Thank you.
No worries. I mean, to be fair, start on this. This is, I guess, is a sweeter version of a Negroni, and so we can start on the more of the breakfast juice side of things, as opposed to ripping straight into tequila. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, welcome. So it's been a while since we've seen each other.
Yeah.
I think the last would have been BarCon.
Oh yeah.
For a brief catch
hello.
up. Yeah. And we've already been chatting for like 20 minutes already before we sat down catching up on the goss.
Right, none of the good stuff. We'll save
Save the best for the interview. So I mean, I normally start off with, how'd you get involved in Hospo? What was the journey? What age?
I was 15, so it's been about half my life now.
Yeah.
I just turned 31. And it was just my local pub around the corner from where I grew up. And I think my mum had gone round to the pub for a drink one evening, and the landlady kind of came over to her and said, "Oh, how old's Emma now?" And my mum was like, "Oh God, has she been out trying to get drinks, or what's she been up to?" Because I didn't often get into trouble or anything as a kid, so she was like, "Oh my God, she's really snuck this one under the
under the rug,
under the radar." I guess that's the phrase. And she was like, and someone was like, "Oh, she's 15. Why? What's she been doing?" And the landlady was like, "Oh no, I just wanted to offer her a job." Oh. So because I lived around it's like 5 minutes walk from my house, lived there my whole life. So I started there kind of washing dishes and then helping like in tiny little ways with like prep for Sunday lunches and stuff like that. And then a year or so later, my mum and her partner at the time actually then bought the pub. So then it was really weird because I'd been working there for a couple of years, albeit in a small role, like waitressing a little bit here and there. I kind of knew the pub and I knew the customers. So then I was kind of teaching my mum like what was what.
Yeah. How to run the pub.
Which was really bizarre. Obviously I wasn't really allowed behind the bar at that point, but I'd know the regulars and I'd see them coming in from the driveway and I'd be like, "Oh, that's Bob. He likes ketchup with his peas on his Sunday roast and he drinks this particular beer. You need to have it ready on the bar when he comes in," whatever it was. So, it was always like kind of knowing your customers was super important from day one in a local place like that. Carried on when I was at uni. Again, was washing dishes at a pub kind of just over the road, student place, nothing fancy. Worked my way up to sous chef. Again, it sounds super important. It was in kind of the place itself, but it wasn't anything like wild. Still a lot of responsibility when you're 18, I guess. And then stayed there after uni to kind of save up for my travels a bit. Did a raw food vegan course in Bali, which was like a bit of a curveball. Yeah. Worked in some vegan cafes in Australia. Then when I came over to New Zealand, I did more front of house and events and stuff. And then moved from there into sales. So kind of a very wide breadth of the industry, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess like the front of house experience lends a lot of skills to the sales stuff as well, sort of being personal with the customers and everything like that. But the being in the kitchen and then doing the vegan cooking was thought a little bit of a curveball.
People don't really expect it, but it's like that's kind of where I really started, I guess. And it was just I liked kind of having a bit more routine and when you're out front of house, you have to play whatever music you think the customers are going to like on any given day, whether it's a sunny day and you put like, I don't know, Fat Freddy's Drop or something on or
good Kiwi music.
Exactly. Or like your rainy day playlist, but then as much as you can kind of mix it up day to day, it's the same on any certain type of day, whereas in the kitchen, it'd be me and my boss and we'd like put old episodes of Fawlty Towers on when it was quiet, or we'd put some kind of like heavy metal screamo on and you'd turn it up as loud as we wanted and no one cared. And I got offered to move on to the bar after I'd been there for a year or so, I think. And I actually said, no, I quite like it in the kitchen. Like, I want to stay here. I guess I was a bit more nervous about like talking to people and stuff, and it was later nights. But yeah, I just really enjoy the creativity of being in the kitchen. I didn't have loads of freedom at the restaurant because the menus were already kind of set. But, you know, like after I'd been there a while, I was able to come up with specials and kind of have a bit of a go at playing around with recipes. I mean, I definitely wasn't a Michelin star chef or anything like that, but it was just awesome to kind of have that creative experience, and that was one of the first outlets that I kind of really had, I guess. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, cool. And so your mum still owns the pub?
No, she bought the pub during, I think it was, I don't know what year it was. Like, so we had that big recession in 2008, which was like the global one. It was not that long after that, so maybe 2010, 2011. And, you know, the recession still hadn't really picked up. So she did really well initially. Like, decorated the whole place and it looked amazing. Lots of locals were, like, super happy with it. And, you know, we had a lot of people that come in that hadn't come in for years because it was kind of getting a bit tired with the old owners and stuff. But we just didn't pick up out of the recession in the way that it had hoped. So kind of similar story to what's been happening in the industry over here recently, I guess, that, you know, people want to go out, and when they want to go out, they'll choose you, or they'll choose the place that they think is the best, but they just weren't going out as much. So it just wasn't sustainable in the end. So we didn't go into liquidation or anything like that. It was just a decision that this is not kind of as successful as we'd have hoped, so let's kind of step away. And she kind of wanted her life back. It was really fun in a lot of ways. Like the first couple of Christmases we had, we would always open for 2 hours on Christmas Day from like 11 till 1 or
have a Christmas
like
roast going and
no, we did. It was just drinks, because in the UK you don't have to serve food. Like you always have like snacks, but it can be like crisp and peanuts. You don't have to have like a substantial meal, kind of like you do over here. So we would just open for all the locals to come in, and the first Christmas we did, all the locals that came in, I don't know how we decided who got one and who didn't, but like all the locals that came in that actually supported the business, their first drink was free. We were open for 2 hours on Christmas Day, and it was like one of the busiest days we'd ever done all year. I was 18 by that point, so I was behind the bar as well, and it was just so much fun. Just for those couple of hours, everyone's in such a good mood. They've all done, you know, they've done all their presents, they go for their Christmas walk, come in, have a beer or two, go back home for their dinner. And then we were able to have like really big family Christmases as well, because we had the whole kitchen. And we were used to doing Sunday roast for, I don't know, 100 covers or whatever it was at the time.
And you'd do that every Sunday just throughout the year?
So then when we never had that many people over for Christmas, but we could have 25 people in, like change the dining room up so it was one big long table, and it was so easy to cater because we had the space, we had the facility to do it.
That's quite handy there.
Yeah. So some really nice memories of it. I think, and it was a really cool experience to say that we'd done it. I think she's probably better off now that she's moved on from it.
Had she, so was hospitality a part of sort of like the family?
Not that I really kind of ever experienced, but my great gran and her husband, both I think great granddad had passed away before I was born, so I didn't meet him. But my great gran, I knew her when I was like really, really young. They owned a pub for a few years, so like my nan worked in it a bit here and there, and my mum was kind of around it, but I think they sold it before my mum was even old enough to work there, because obviously she was the grandchild. So it was kind of in the family, but not kind of in the immediate family that I experienced. But I think for my mum it was probably quite nostalgic that she knew when she was a kid she was probably running around in like the grandparents' pub a bit here and there, and thought, oh, this would be really cool. Definitely no regrets. But you know, she tried it. It was fun, but it maybe wasn't just like the right thing for her at the time.
And like you say, you know, coming out of sort of an economic crisis time, it's very hit and miss. Some people just do incredibly well, and then other people do incredibly bad, and then a lot of people sit middle of the road, and it's not great, but it's not terrible.
We were kind of somewhere around there.
It's but it's always an interesting time. It's always a fun experiment. I feel like owning a pub is something that almost everyone has suggested doing at some point in their life, because they just want somewhere that they enjoy going and drinking, and they can drink with their friends and occasionally give away a couple of free pints, and you know just have some fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, some things were amazing in terms of, like I said, about Christmas and able to have those big family events. But I think for her, she had that experience of running around the grandparents' pub when she was really little. But what am I trying to say? Like, for us as a family, then we got even less family time. And, me and my brother were a bit older. I was, I think, 16 when we moved in, and then we were, or 17 maybe, so I kind of had my 18th birthday, which was amazing because we didn't have to pay for venue hire. We got to go to, like, the wholesaler to buy all the food, and I had a big party, and the DJ gave us a massive discount because he would DJ there on the occasional Friday night. And then all my friends came, and we did, like, I think we did some, like, deals on drinks, but, they got cheap drinks, so they were happy. My mum got a good income, so it was amazing.
The bills still got paid. There are some really good benefits to having a
but
pub.
then, on the weekends we didn't really get the family time because someone always had to be downstairs looking after the business.
So you guys lived above it?
Yeah, we lived upstairs.
Yeah.
And then when I was chefing, after I graduated uni, I didn't live upstairs the one I worked at, but I lived upstairs of, like, the sister pub. So I've lived above pubs for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years of my
deep
of
sleeper
my life.
then.
No, unfortunately. I guess, most of them, they would, close at maybe 11 o'clock, so it wasn't too bad.
That's all good.
The one I worked at when I was at uni, they would do the occasional club night till, like, 1 a.m. So I was very glad that even though I worked there, I lived above the one down the road. So I was like, okay, at least I can leave you guys to the loud music and I can go back to my quiet little local pub.
Nice. That's interesting. Whereabouts in the UK did you grow up?
I grew up kind of near Reading, so it's like an hour-ish west of London.
Okay, yeah.
Not anywhere near as far as, like, Oxford or Bristol, but kind of that direction.
Yeah.
And
Is it quite like a small little community?
Yeah. And then I went to uni not far from Windsor, so where the Queen's one of her many palaces is, in a little place called Egham.
Egham, okay.
Yeah.
I think
awful name.
Yeah. I think I've heard of Egham before, but I had a friend that was from Wigan. Wigan?
Wigan is north.
Okay, yeah.
There's also a place called Wickham.
Wickham, okay.
Which is not that far from, it's kind of probably in between where I grew up and where I went
they're
to
also
uni.
bloody similar.
Yeah.
Now, actually, the population of the UK is massive compared to, like, New Zealand, but similar sort of landmass.
Oh no, that's embarrassing. My eyes got stuck to the glass.
Oh, damn fucking eyes. Heavy population, but not much landmass. So when you travel, are you, say for example here to Hamilton, hour and a half, just farmland. You don't really get that in the UK, do you? You come over and hit, like, a bunch of little, like, sort of cottage towns.
Yeah, pretty
Constantly.
much. Like, obviously, it's when you go further south, like down towards Devon and Cornwall, there's heaps of farmland and green space. But I think the thing I really noticed moving over here is that obviously a lot of New Zealand is farmland, but there's also a lot more wild places. And there's some fact that I saw that's like the amount of wild places in New Zealand is, I don't know, it's like less than 10%. I can't remember the fact. I can't remember the fact. I might be making that up completely, but it's like quite a small amount.
Okay.
But it's still so much more than the UK that, you drive for half an hour out of Auckland and yes, some of it's like fields and stuff, but a lot of it is still untouched. Whereas in the UK, most of the open space is farmland. So it's still quite green in some areas, but it's green because a farmer's planted this crop and then this line of trees in between the fields. It's not like wild, which is, it's quite different. Like, it's kind of nice going home because it's so nostalgic seeing like the different greenery and stuff.
All the stone fences. And, I have always appreciated seeing like the UK on movies and TV. I've never been, but just it does look very picturesque. Like, stone houses
very
and
quaint
buildings.
when you get out of the cities. But I mean, same as here, the cities are just growing and growing, and there's less space for them to grow into. So they're kind of, again, they're getting taller rather than wider and stuff. So I think it changes a lot every time I go back. Really.
Yeah. Brace yourselves. It's sponsorship time. I know ads can feel like the Broccoli podcast, but today we're talking about the Bar Society, a company I own and operate. So think of it as supporting my broccoli farm. This goes out to all cocktail lovers and hospitality pros. Are you ready to elevate your drinking experience? Introducing the Bar Society, New Zealand's leading clear ice supplier. Whether you're stirring down a classic old-fashioned or crafting the perfect gin and tonic, there's no substitute for crystal clear ice. Not only does our ice look stunning, but it also melts slower, keeping your drinks colder and your flavors perfectly balanced. From home bartenders to high-end establishments, the Bar Society's here to bring your beverages to the next level. Order today and see why we're trusted by the best bars and restaurants in New Zealand. Visit thebarsociety.co.nz and let us transform your drinks. The Bar Society. Elevate your drinking experience. And so I guess like every little sort of settlement, what do you call them? County, towns, villages, probably?
Yeah, it depends where you are, I guess. Towns and villages, yeah.
Yeah. They all have their own like little pubs with all the locals that go around.
Yeah.
The pubs are always family run sort of thing. It's a very tight-knit, close community. And you'd probably only travel, 2 or 3 villages either side of your own, and that's where you go to the big supermarket. And
pretty much,
things like that. See, it just seems so peaceful, And like you say, quaint.
Yeah. Again, I guess if you're out in like the villages, like where I grew up, I couldn't tell you what the population is now, but it was like a few thousand when I grew up. But obviously, the next town along is really, really close. Whereas if you have a town of a few thousand here, it's probably half an hour or more to the next one. And, when you get kind of a bit further out from the big cities.
So, all right, moving on. So, working in Mum's pub. And then you've got into the kitchen, and then you've travelled and done a vegan cooking course in Bali.
Yeah.
And you said you studied at uni as well? What were you studying?
Drama and theatre, so very typical that I ended up in hospitality.
Yeah.
I hate to support the stereotype, but here I am.
Drama kid myself.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And that school shows, productions, dramas, wanted to be an actor. That was the whole career path at some point.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I always thought, I'll have my name in a Hollywood star one day.
I'm going to be on Coronation Street, and then I'm going to graduate to this. Yeah, we all have that. Yeah. Okay, so studied theatre, and then started travelling. Ended up in Bali, doing vegan cooking.
Yeah, so I had been obviously working in as a chef for 3-4 years at that point, and friends of mine from uni, we'd all graduated, and then they just stayed on at the same uni and done their masters. And I knew that I wanted to travel, so I just carried on working to save up the cash to get myself there. Basically, they finished their masters and wanted to do like a short amount of travel, like a couple of months or something. But I was like, no, I'm going, and I'm going to get my working holiday, and I'm going to be gone for a year, 2 years, forever. Who knows? I was very open to the idea of kind of not going home. And then they were doing about a week in Bali, and then they came over to Oz for, I can't remember how long it was, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it was, it doesn't matter, I guess. Yeah. And I couldn't get the time off work, knowing that I was leaving in a couple of months, like long term, but I hadn't found that reason to go. Like I needed that push or that kind of thing, that commitment to get me there, to book the flight in. Like I'd been saying for ages, I'm going to go, and I just hadn't done anything about it. So I had this trip with my friends, and I couldn't take the whole time off, so I took, I think, 10 days, and I did a week with them in Bali, and then I stayed on for 3 or 4 days on my own. So that was kind of my first time being away, far from home, kind of completely on my own. But it was a bit easier because I'd had that week with my friends to kind of get a bit of a feel for the place and decide which hostel I wanted to stay at, because I hadn't, we'd booked that in for when we were together, but I hadn't decided that for just me, so I kind of thought I'd leave it a bit open, but at least I've kind of been around to work it out. And I just kind of started being a lot more conscious about what I was consuming. Obviously I worked in a kitchen, so I used to eat everything. I was very much aware of what I was eating and where it came from, which I think kind of drove me to eat the way I do now. So I'm vegan. I used to prep like all the roast dinners, and we'd do like pre-cook 3 pork bellies ready to then like prepare them on the day or whatever. And we'd get these massive blocks of cheese, like I don't know how heavy they were, like couple of kgs.
Yeah.
And the boss didn't want to invest in you can get like a food processor that's got like a cheese grating thing.
Yes.
He didn't want to buy one of them because he thought it was too expensive. So he would grate it all by hand. I'm like, I don't know. Have you really thought about the time that it's taking me to grate this cheese? Probably not. But we'd be cooking bacon to prepare for breakfast, and we'd cook like 10 kgs in a row to like pre-cook it so that we could heat it up on the grill and get those nice grill lines and stuff. And it didn't faze me for years. And then I don't know, I was kind of having these conversations with people about what it was and, the animals beforehand and their sentience or whatever. I had some other friends that were vegetarian for like environmental reasons. And I was also getting really conscious of my health, like going to the gym a lot more and into my fitness, and started hearing all these things about like red meat being carcinogenic and blah, blah, blah. And I just kind of had this light bulb moment, and I was, I think, also so overexposed to it. So I would see like the grease coming off the bacon, and you like physically grating potentially 6 kilograms of cheese in a row. I just was like, I don't want this anymore, and I just kind of went off of it. So I'd already kind of started moving towards this kind of more conscious, like plant-based way of eating. And then I was in Bali with my friends, and we'd been chatting to this girl in the hostel, and she was, I think, vegan or veggie, so we kind of talked about food a little bit. She was like, you need to go to this cafe, it's like raw vegan, and I didn't even know what that was. You have to go and check it out. So I was like, oh wow, that's so cool, that's so different, that's so exciting, it's really creative. And how are they doing this, like what are their techniques? And none of my friends have kind of worked in Hospo, so whereas I was in the kitchen, so I was like quite interested in not only like the health benefits and things like that, but how did they prepare it and what did they do? So I kind of said to my friends, hey, I've been recommended this cafe, I really want to go check it out, like do you guys want to come? And they were like, yeah, cool, sure, whatever, we'll go with you. Got there, and there was 4 of us. We went into the cafe, and I was looking at the menu like, oh, like a raw vegan lasagna, how do they do that? And I was just kind of blowing my mind. Because it's so different, and it's such a, like, there's so much to learn. And then one of the girls, she wasn't interested in any way. She was like, I don't know what I want to eat here, I don't understand it, and it was kind of a bit overwhelming. She was like, so like, you guys stay, I might, if you guys are okay with it, I might just like go to this place down the road that I saw when we were coming in. And I'm like, obviously I would love it if everyone ate the same as me, but there's so many, each their own, I was like, yeah, okay, sure. Like,
and she comes back with a Big Mac.
It would have been really cool to kind of share that experience, but also like, you don't force things on people, because that's never going to help anyone to kind of be aware of what they're doing or whatever. So she kind of took herself off and went to this place, and then like one by one the other girls were like, oh, I don't know either, like I might go. And I'm like, okay, that's absolutely fine. I wasn't offended, I didn't kind of think anything of it. It was just very different life experiences and kind of motivations, I guess. So then I was like, well, I really want to try it, so I'll just stay. So I stayed in this cafe. It probably looked kind of sad, and my friends just left me, but I wasn't fazed by it. So I can't remember what I ate or anything like that, but I chose my drink and I chose my meal, and I had this grand old time, and I was just so interested in all of it, from the health to the preparation to everything in between, and like weird ingredients like Schizandra berries. What is that? It's like a superfood thing, and it's meant to be like really good for your skin and youthful and stuff. Can't remember where it comes from, but there was so many different things like that, like adaptogenic mushrooms, and super hippie basically, but it was just this whole world of food that I'd never come across. And they had this like table talker that was advertising a course that they were doing, and it was 2 weeks like raw vegan cooking school. So it's not an official qualification or anything like that. But this was kind of October time I was there, and the course started like late December. And I hadn't found my reason to be like, okay, I have to get on the plane because I have to go to this, and I really needed something to kind of pull me. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll go and do that then.
Yeah, why not?
It was a couple of grand US at the time. I don't know what the conversion rate was. So it was kind of expensive, but it was all accommodation in this like really fancy place. The pool is like natural water that's filtered with quartz. You know, it was so like hippie, like bougie hippie.
Yeah.
And so I just was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go do that. So it was 2 weeks of waking up in the morning, and you did like 2 hours of like yoga class. So it was almost like a yoga retreat at the same time. And then you'd do like a couple of hours of like the cooking classes in the morning, and then you'd have a lunch break, and then there would be some kind of seminar, whether it was about like being vegan, or whether it was about like, there was a lot of things about like, I don't know, like Zen Buddhism, or some of these like superfoods that we hadn't come across, and all like so many different things that we were learning about. And then another cooking class in the evening, and then kind of a little bit of free time. So it was
very
really
mind,
different.
body, spirit type integration.
But I just found it fascinating. And I mean, I don't eat that way now because it's really hard to maintain it. I think it's probably easy to maintain when you're in a warm country like Indonesia, because, you know, fruit grows so abundantly and it's cheaper and it's easier to come by. Whereas over here, the food physically doesn't have as many nutrients anymore because of mass farming and things like that. And, you know, it's harder to cook, well, not cook, but you can heat stuff up to, I think it's like 47 degrees. It doesn't break down the enzyme, so it still counts as raw. So a lot of like dehydrating, but not to make it dehydrated like you do for your orange wheel garnish, but like kind of just to warm things up and make it feel like you're eating something cooked. I forgot where I was going with that, but yeah, just like so many amazing different techniques. I don't eat like it fully now because it's just harder, and like my partner's wasn't even veggie when we kind of got together, so I didn't want to like go from you're eating everything to you have to eat fully raw vegan. But I still love that way of eating. If I see a place that offers that kind of food, I'll always go and check it out because I just love the creativity behind it as well.
So has he come along on the journey?
He's veggie, but eats vegan at home. He was never really a cook.
Okay.
So when we
he
first
had no
got
choice.
together, but he wasn't like a massive meat eater anyway. There's a few things he didn't really like. He kind of only really would get chicken, or like he'd go out and have a burger or something, but didn't cook loads and loads of meat at home. Just because he wasn't really into cooking. So he was more than happy to just eat what I ate because it was tasty, because I know how to pair flavors and stuff like that. So initially it was kind of that, and then he would still eat meat when we went out. And then after, I don't know if it was 6 months or a year, he kind of just said, I'm not really bothered about it, like, because whenever, he'd eat it when we went out, but then that would get kind of fewer and further between, and he just realised that he just didn't really enjoy it anymore, and I never kind of forced anything along, like, on him, but he kind of was very open to my way of eating, and realised that actually he kind of aligned with it as well, in terms of, and like, you don't realise the smell of dairy until you stop drinking it, and then you're making a coffee for someone and you're steaming the milk and it just hits you in the face. And I've had so many people come to me saying, I actually don't like drinking normal milk anymore because I stopped drinking it for a month, and then I made a coffee for someone and the smell, so he kind of had the same thing where he just, the less and less he got exposed to it, the less it appealed to him, which is kind of nice because it makes it so much easier.
It's interesting. Food has always intrigued me along sort of the lines that you're talking about, and I went veggie for a little bit. I personally never got fully on board with the vegan thing. I kind of think there's like, if I imagine a diet kind of like a seesaw, there's always an angle that you go too far to one side, like say you're a meat eater, but the only meat you ever eat is McDonald's. We're hard on the seesaw this way, and then going super hard vegan, my diet consists of water and peanuts. And it's like, we're a little too hard on the seesaw the other way. And we eat meat for most of our meals. Like, I'll have some like shaved ham in a sandwich, and at dinner we'll do like beef nachos or like a chicken curry and things like this. But I am definitely, through COVID, documentary central. And learning just like, I really don't like the amount of just like chemicals and bullshit that is sprayed on any crop. The antibiotics and different chemicals that are used to dredge, livestock, and just
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Whatever you eat, you can't
Yeah.
really escape it in a modern society unless you just go live off the grid somewhere and grow it all yourself.
For sure. And I definitely think there's countries worse than others. Like, I kind of see America to kind of be one of the worst in terms of like massive feedlot farming. Everything's grain fed. There's no room to
Monsanto,
move.
the dreaded
Monsanto.
word.
Yeah. And, and the revolving door that companies like Monsanto have with like the FDA, and that someone goes into the FDA, helps get a bill passed, then automatically swings into Monsanto and is running their operation to get more bills, and it's just a revolving door of people going back and forth. And I think all of that, it's just bullshit. Like, it shouldn't really be going on. But then when I think about, like, say, New Zealand raised beef, a lot of it is like regeneratively farmed. There's a lot of crop grazing rotation, a lot less antibiotics, even though they still are present in things like this. Like my sister-in-law, she's super big on animal welfare. So they still eat meat, but like she grows all of her own vegetables in her own garden, and it's all pesticide, herbicide free. She has chickens, all her own chicken eggs, and the whole process. You don't wash it like this because you'll wash off the membrane, and all of these. She's real into it. They still have a mixed diet of meat and veggies, but it's all, I would call it ethically sourced and grown, and I'm super on board with that. I'm like, if I could have a bit of land where I can have my own grass fed, looked after livestock, cows, pigs, chickens, maybe some goats, and then my own veggie garden, I'll be good. Because then I kind of get the best of both worlds. I'm keeping the chemicals and nonsense out, but I'm still getting to enjoy a whole spectrum of food type thing.
Yeah, I think for me, I think it would be awesome if everyone ate the same way that I did and tries to be more conscious for, the sake of the environment and this and that. But a lot of, for me, again, I guess some of it is just my, it's my own personal opinion, and I'm not going to force that on anyone, but a lot of the issue isn't necessarily the meat. Like, there's arguments why that is, and I do agree with a lot of them, but the overarching thing for me is again, like the mass production of it all and the effects that has on, that makes the animal welfare even worse, and that makes the environment even worse, and that, it's causing deforestation and all of these things, but even if people kind of consciously choose to eat 1, 2, 3 meals a week differently, that can have such a big impact, that, one of these quotes that I saw on, I don't know, like Instagram or somewhere, but it really resonates, is it's not about everyone being 100% the perfect vegan or the perfect vegetarian or whatever it is. It's about as many people as possible making small conscious changes, whether that's buying more ethically raised meat for all their meals, or having one day a week where they don't consume any animal products, or whatever the case may be. That can be different for each person, whatever works for them, whatever's in their budget. Because people argue that veganism is expensive, but also meat can be really expensive. So it's about, I guess, how you eat as well and what works for the individual. But it's just, I think, about being aware of what you're doing and the effect that you have, and what can you do to make a small difference on whatever is important to you. Is it the environment? Is it the animals? Is it your health? Does that just mean you eat less McDonald's because you're more health conscious? It's different for everyone, and I think it's just about finding what works for you that also is going to have a wider benefit in a small way on the community that we live in. Because if everyone does that, it's actually going to have a much bigger, a snowball effect.
Yeah, for sure. So as someone that's sort of ignorant to vegan products, occasionally I have the thought of I see a lot of alternative milks, whether it be soy or oat or goat, everything other than traditional dairy. Sometimes I see something and I'm like, has a good message, looks like good ingredients, and that is just people, doing the best that they can in sort of the vegan or alternative path. And then I see other products, then I'm like, I feel like they're just using the vegan banner as a marketing trick.
There's a lot of greenwashing that goes on, but I think, which is definitely true for the vegan world, but I think in some ways as well, it's also used in meat products with, I can't think of a specific example, but they'll say that something's ethically raised, but then you look into what the definition of that is, and I mean, a lot of places do that, and obviously, like, I would rather advocate for that than like mass farming, but you maybe look into what that situation actually is, and it's not really what you think it is or what they put on their TV advert or something. But greenwashing is a problem.
And because when I was vegetarian, we started buying like veggie patties to make like burgers at home, and then I heard someone talking about how veggie patties can be full of shit. And then I started reading the back, and like 90% of it was like seed oils that had just been emulsified and coagulated down with some beetroot in it. And I was just like, that can't be healthy. Maybe what I am eating isn't healthy, but that can't be healthier because it's full of nonsense.
I don't have the final answer. I've not done all of the research myself. Generally, I'm more inclined to whole foods. Every now and then I will buy one of those burgers because I'm going out to a barbecue somewhere and you need something easy, and it's
you don't want to be the social pariah. You're just put this on the barbecue.
But I saw something the last couple of days that was this kind of exact argument where it was like, you've got your beef burger and it's the ingredients just beef. And then you've got your bean burger, which is like beans and, I don't know, oat flour and some seasoning or whatever, very simple, very whole food. And then you've got your mass-produced like fake meat alternative, which has got like soy and wheat and all of these like gelling agents and things. And again, I'm not saying that this is 100% the way that everyone should eat, because you make your own decisions and all that. But with those like veggie burgers, all of those ingredients have had to meet certain standards in order to go on the plate, and some of most of them, whilst they're maybe not super healthy, they're not like proven to cause cancers or anything like that. Whereas
you don't know the antibiotics that are in.
You don't know what's been fed to that animal to go into it. And I'm not saying that that's 100% right or wrong, but it's just, you also have to be aware of who's created that advertising. Has that been created by the meat industry because they've seen that there's been a decline and they're trying to get you to go back to that? But actually some of the chemicals that they use, or what's the soy been sprayed with that the cows have been fed, you don't know that. That could be the same kind of thing that is in the veggie burger anyway. So it could be exactly the same ingredients just going into it in a different way. I'm not saying that you shouldn't eat the burger. I would love that, but do your own thing. Just, it's about being aware of where that information has come from, who's paid for it. And I don't know the answers for everything, but
100%.
You just have to kind of, I think, whether it's meat or whether it's anything in the modern world, you just have to look at the bigger picture of not just the information that's put in front of you, but where that's come from, like fake news and all that.
I totally agree with that. When I was talking to my sister-in-law, we were talking about eggs, and she buys the most like expensive eggs that are all like, she's researched the farm to make sure they fit into her standards of sort of what she considers ethically raising. And she was telling me that when you see free range on an egg carton, 9 times out of 10, those farms are hitting the baseline standard, which means each chicken has a meter square of room to walk around in. But the sticker that they put on the packet is a chicken and an acre of just grass, so it's very, like you say, you call it free range, but how free range is free range, what is defined in that standard, and then the images that they put with it are not the reality. Because really, if you saw the reality, you'd probably be like, there's nothing fucking free range about that. Like, the freest range would be you having your own chickens running around on your own farm, and they got 10 acres to sort of do their thing, and you only need 6 eggs a day. It's it's crazy, but I always imagine like I want to have like a veggie garden and some chickens, and they can get round and they can eat all the bugs and some of the soil,
exactly.
and
like an actual life, And I think it's also just about an awareness of where it's come from. Like, one of the kind of go-to funny stories that I say to people of kind of the transition that I've gone through is when I was working in the kitchen. I was preparing all of this meat, like 10 kgs of bacon twice a week, like par cooking and stuff like that. And I was very aware of where it all came from. I'd be like deboning the pork belly for the Sunday roast, and it's a pig. It has nipples. It has hair. It's a being, right?
Yeah.
But some of the girls that were then like washing the dishes were, they couldn't go near it. It was too scared. Like, oh my god, I can see that it was an animal, and I was kind of like, come on, guys, if you eat it, it's the same thing. So I would like pick up this tray of pork belly that I'd just cut all the bones out of and like hit a nipple, and just it was really, it's so bizarre thinking that now I'm so much of an advocate for like my lifestyle now, but like I was there and I was, this is what it is, this is what I eat, and I would kind of make a joke about it, but I think that like if people want to go and have their own space and grow their own, like rear their own animals for consumption or whatever, like it's not personally what I would do, but it's still making a difference. And if you understand what you're doing and where it's coming from,
I think that's a big thing, the understanding of it. Like you say, even though you used to deal with animals and the butchering of them and things like this, you had a very firm understanding of what you were doing, what you were cutting up. Whereas you get people that have never seen meat come in anything other than a plastic package, and they don't even realize it is an animal. They just think it's just meat. Like I've never seen a meat running around, and it's like
it's like a little steak with stick legs.
Exactly. And so people just lack some understanding, and then you get people like yourself that have educated yourself about the ins and outs of what you're eating, and then made educated choices based on that and based on preference. Sometimes you just like,
it's just what I prefer. Like now I'm so used to it now that, and I think because of that overexposure, I don't really miss it, because I just got so sick of it that it kind of made sense to me. And I know maybe I'll have a kid one day and I'll have cravings for a burger. I don't know what I would do in that situation, but it's, I'm just doing what I think is best with the information I have, and I think just everyone can kind of is free to do the same, whichever way that takes them, I guess.
That's interesting. On the sort of the child thought, would you give your child the option to try meat products? Like, would you
I find this
bring
really,
them
really
up
hard.
as a vegetarian or vegan, or would you allow them to eat meat and make their own choice? But you would ultimately have to supply the meat for the early part of the year.
I haven't really kind of thought like really in depth about it, but I think I would probably raise them eating the same as Matt and I do, because I don't really want to prepare it. Like I cook, when Matt ate meat and I was still a lot earlier in the journey, I cooked meat for him a few times, and because I have the background in cooking, like I'm kind of okay with it. But obviously, the longer that this journey's gone on, the harder I would find it. So I think I would probably at home raise a kid to just eat the way that we do, but then also you can't force anyone, So I think when we were out and about, I would say, this is why I like to eat the way I do. This is the way that I or we have raised you to eat this way at home. If you have to let them go out and try stuff, but then it's hard, because then like I've heard stories of kids that then go to their grandparents, so the grandparents don't agree with the way the parents eat, and then they're like, give them all of this stuff. And I don't know, it's kind of a grey area. I think you can't force your beliefs on anyone, so I wouldn't want to force them on a child, but I would think that I would just give them kind of the information that I know, and then allow them to make their own choice from that. But then I'd probably say, they probably wouldn't make that choice until they were a little bit older, so they could potentially kind of prepare their own stuff. Like I would cook at home with my mum from when I was, 6 or 7. I wouldn't necessarily have free reign of the kitchen, but I was able to do stuff. So I think I would then allow them to make a choice, and then depending on how old they were, maybe to then say, okay, you can eat that. I'm not going to stop you, because it's your choice, it's your body at the end of the day, but maybe in a way that would not involve me having to prepare it so much, or maybe if they're old enough, teaching them to prepare. I don't really know. It's a hard one.
It is a hard one. And I was thinking, like, in terms of, you mentioned like you might buy like veggie patties to go around to a barbecue with someone's house, and like at home could be all vegetarian, but you go around to a friend's house and they're having a barbecue and there's sausages. Like there's always the option, like, do you want to try a bit of sausage? Try it, see what it's like. Like it's not gonna It's not going to kill anyone.
Yeah.
To
But
just
then
try a little bit of
I mean,
sausage when someone else is
it's
already
been,
cooking it.
I think 8 years since I've
Wow.
eaten meat. I don't know now if I did eat it. Like, I mean, once I was at a restaurant down in the mountain and they accidentally gave me the chicken curry instead of the veggie one. And, you know, so I bit into it and then quickly realised what it was. You know, things happen.
Yeah.
People make mistakes. Like, the restaurant was super apologetic. I get it, it happens.
Yeah.
Or there's, you know, like, I had a salad and they had like a salmon salad on the menu and there was like a tiny bit of salmon that got caught up in the wrong one. I'm like, well, first of all, that's like a contamination thing, because what if it was an allergy? So I was kind of annoyed, but not about the fact that there was meat in my dish, more about the fact that you guys need to be more careful about your preparation, because this could have serious health problems for someone else. But, you know, I've been able to then, even if I've had it by accident, to then like remove it or like stop consuming it. I don't actually know if I ate it now, if it would just be fine, because some people they won't have eaten meat for years and then they'll eat it and it will be just normal. Other people haven't eaten it for years and then they get really sick. So I don't know if that would, if it was a child that hadn't eaten it ever, I don't know what that would do, whether it would just be fine or whether they would kind of struggle to eat it.
Yeah, interesting. That's really interesting. Do you have to take are there any things that are dietary requirements that are hard to get from vegetable products?
I mean, B12 is a big one, but that comes from the soil.
Yes.
So the reason that like vegans don't get it very easily is because mass farming, the soil doesn't have the same nutrients that it did hundreds of years ago or whatever. So and also
I guess
then
we
food
clean
is
our
washed. So a lot of, you know, if you're growing your carrots at home, you might quickly rinse them under the sink, but it's probably not as, you know, there's going to be more remnants on there than if you grew it out in, you know, a big field where all it is rows of carrots. And so there's not as much in the soil, or the soil's kind of is gone from the food, so you're not consuming it that way. But actually, the only reason that people that eat meat get it is because the animals have actually been injected, or they've had it sprayed onto their food or whatever. So, you know, it's not actually in the meat either. They're also being supplemented. So it's kind of a supplement that everyone should take.
Yes.
I mean, people say iron, but like I've not done any studies myself, of course, but, you know, you hear stories of people whose iron was really low when they ate meat, because, there's more iron in there, but it's something like it's less bioavailable than the iron that you get from plants or something like that.
Yeah.
But you have to eat more plants to get the same levels. I don't know. It's like heme and non-heme iron. I don't know all of the ins and outs. So iron, I do struggle with, but I think I struggled with it before I ate meat anyway. Like it affects women more proportionally than men in general.
Yeah, having a bit of a cycle, you lose a lot of iron as well.
So I don't know that that's necessarily directly correlated with being vegan. Probably a part of it is, but also there's a lot of plants that you can get iron from. So they're kind of the big two, the iron and the B12, but they're also kind of just things that everyone should be aware of what they're consuming. You know, there's plenty of meat eaters that are still anemic. So it can have an effect, but it's not necessarily the direct only reason that you'll be deficient in it.
Yeah, interesting. And I've heard like things like coffee can inhibit
caffeine can
your iron uptake and things like this. And so you could be getting plenty of iron in your diet, but you drink coffee and it shuts down the ability to process that and put it out. And, you know, to be fair, we put so much shit in our body nowadays. Like, you know, it used to be like wartime food. If it grew, you ate it. And if it didn't come from within 10 kilometers of where you lived, there was no avocados from Argentina and coffee beans from Colombia and Ethiopia, and there was none of that sort of. I think we've lived in a very luxurious world,
for sure,
where we have an endless choice of things that we want to consume, whether it's local or not, and we've kind of gotten a little bit hard in some areas, you know, like it gets a bit ridiculous sometimes. And I mean, at home we keep it plain, like, you know, it's eggs on toast in the morning, simple. It's nothing's ever too extravagant or foreign. It's, you know, vegetables, carrots, potatoes, kumara, You know, just broccoli if it's not too expensive at the supermarket type thing. Because that's also the thing. Some vegetables get
The
fucking
price, yeah.
expensive. We were looking at cauliflower the other day. It was like $10 for a cauliflower.
I remember something in lockdown. I have such a strong memory of there being an article about like uproar at the supermarket price, and this cauliflower was like $13-14 or something. And I was like, it's kind of ridiculous that this is front page news. They've obviously got very little to talk about during lockdown, but $14 for a cauliflower is quite ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
So the fact that it's $10 now, when it's it's not even like we're living in a time of lockdowns and there's less workers and stuff like that. That's pretty bad.
That's ridiculous. And they're like my family grew up in like Awakuni, if you know where that is, base of Mount
with the big
Ruapehu.
carrot?
Yeah, with the big carrot.
Yeah.
With the big carrot.
I'm a vegan. I have many pictures with the big carrot.
Yeah, okay. And so, so they were all like farmers. And my dad's grandmother, so my great-great-grandmother, she had a massive veggie garden. Like, apparently the veggie garden was an acre. And they would grow all of the veggies that they needed, and there would also be like 10 other families that got fed from the veggies. And she'd just cook massive amounts of food and quiches and things like this, and then freeze it, and they always had food. And, working on the farms, baling hay, just requires a lot of fuel in the body. And everything was just grown. And because it was grown well, and it was composted, and everything was just a rotational cycle. There was no sort of external inputs. That a cauliflower would be huge, and I've got no problem paying for it $10 for a cauliflower if it's like 3 kilos, But you go to the supermarket now, and it's not much bigger than the microphone, and you're like, you're probably looking like, I'm going to get 2 cauliflower steaks out of that, and then I get some crumbs on the end, It's just like, it becomes so expensive to eat healthy, and the healthier alternatives typically turn out to be a little more expensive, and I think there's an element of, like the term you used before, the greenwashing. If we slap this label on it and we put it in this section of the supermarket, we can get another 5% margin.
More, yeah.
And I just, it makes it real hard to buy into it sometimes, or to really support the companies that are trying to do the right thing, because they're kind of getting walked over by other companies trying to monopolize the whole situation, which gets a little bit difficult.
And they have smaller budgets, they have smaller teams, and they're trying, maybe they're more aware of paying living wage, so it does push the price up, whether it's a greenwashing or whether it's just a fact of being a smaller business with a smaller market, and it costs more to produce stuff on a smaller level than it does to mass produce things. So then it does make it more expensive, which means it's harder to grow because your market is smaller. Yeah, for sure. I'm loving this sort of food marketing, supermarket cooking excursion. So once you did your raw vegan cooking course, that was in Bali, you said. Where'd you go after there? Moved over to Australia. Did a working holiday there for a year. So I started in Sydney, and I worked in a vegan cafe.
In the kitchen?
I was the pastry chef.
Okay.
So, I did some baking, but a lot of it was like vegan cakes and vegan chocolate and stuff like that. I actually made a cake that featured in Vogue Bridal. That was pretty cool. It was pretty
fancy.
It was a proud accolade. I'll never let it go. It was a vegan cheesecake basically. So it was mostly made from like the base is like dates and cashews. I can't remember which nut it was. Dates and nuts, kind of blended up, so it kind of goes like a biscuit crumb, and then the dates kind of help to stick it together, and then you add a bit of maple syrup or some cacao if you're doing like a chocolatey one. And then the like cheesecake part's made from cashews. So you like soak them, like play around with all your flavors, blend it all up with like a natural sweetener, and then set it in the freezer. And then you can do like different tiered ones with different flavors and things like that. And it was a super cool accolade, but I was just very lucky that I was in the right place at the right time. Vogue actually like contacted the cafe because I'd make cakes to order for birthdays and things like that. So they reached out and said, "Hey, we're doing like this bridal edition. We're looking for unique cakes to feature in the magazine. We'd love to have like one of your your raw ones in there. So I got to be the kind of baker that made this cake. They came and picked it up and photographed it, and it's in the magazine. I have a copy of it at home. And it's, just a bizarre thing that's like, I just came from small town UK where I worked in this pub and we did Sunday roasts, and one night we did a cocktail night, but it was like everything in a little, like, like the lemon juice packets that you get in the supermarket. The cocktails came in like one of those.
Oh, okay.
And now I'm here in Australia making a cake for Vogue. Like, how did that happen? I have no idea. But I was there for, I think, 4 months. And a lot of that came from what I learned on the course in Bali. And then to do a working holiday in Australia, they've changed the law now. But like when I was there, you got 1 year work visa, and then you had to do some kind of regional work for 3 months to get your second year visa. So it could be construction, it could be mining, it could be farming. You had to be in like certain postcodes in the country. So then I worked in an organic vegetable farm for 3 months, just picking the fruits and veggies and stuff, like washing them, choosing which ones were the best quality that you could send off to the supermarkets and which ones were the lower quality. And it was actually shocking. Going back to kind of what we're saying about the mass production of food, it was a small farm, but the amount of stuff that you'd pick off the tree and you'd be like, oh, it's got a big line down the middle of it where it's been resting against a stem, there's nothing wrong with it, but the supermarket won't take it. So if you noticed it there out in the field, you'd just pick it so it didn't kind of take any more nutrients from the plant, but you just leave it on the ground, which then is kind of nice because it's composting itself back into that soil, sure, but it's just, it could,
a waste of food.
Feed someone. And then we'd go back to kind of the main factory base and then have to kind of clean them all up and box them and then do all the pallets ready for the shipments. And I would kind of help to like arrange the shipments and work out which supermarkets wanted how much, and like doing all the pallets and stuff. And the amount then that you'd have kind of like, it's a factory, so you'd have like a production line, and some person is washing it, and then these people here are like choosing which ones they like and sorting, or which ones are no good, and sorting them by size. The waste was crazy, but it was amazing, especially coming from a chef background, to kind of see the life cycle. I guess obviously it was only the plants, not the animals, but I already knew what the life cycle was. I didn't need to see that, but for the plants to go from planting the seeds to pruning the plants to picking the veggies and packing them up, and then also the great thing was that anything that was seconds that we weren't going to send to the supermarket,
free
I
food,
just got to take home enough for dinner.
The perks of the job.
Yeah,
for sure. No, it's crazy. I heard, I don't know if there's any sort of truth to it, but pretty much a third of food that is grown goes to the supermarket, and 2/3 gets thrown.
That was about the short of it.
It's just an epic amount of wastage. It's I know. There's this crew in Taupo, Misfits Garden, and they buy the misfit vegetables from big farms, and they put essentially like little boxes together, and people do their shopping and they get odd looking vegetables instead of the manicured vegetables that are at the
here as well. To be honest, I haven't actually used them. I really should, because I should practice what I preach. The wonky box.
Okay,
so
I'm
similar kind of
vibe.
I have some friends that use them, and I really should start ordering from them, to be honest.
Well, now you've publicly said it, so
give me free stuff.
Exactly. You can be an advocate. You've already done a good job so far talking about the life of being a vegetarian / vegan. But Wonky Box, I've seen a few of their boxes lying around, and I think it's a brilliant idea. I'm like, I had this idea when I came back in COVID. It was before I ever started even thinking about ice to start the Bar Society. But just in a neighborhood, there's always like one section that hasn't been built on. And so I thought, why don't you buy that section and turn it into like a community garden? And
such a nice idea.
You have, say there's 50 houses that farm can support. You build a relationship with those households. They might, I really like green beans. I really like broccoli. I really like cucumber. I love purple carrots. So you can actually plant things that the local community that is really local, what they want. Get them to bring back their food scraps. the weight of their food scraps, they would then get that weight free of like fresh berries or strawberries, you know, whatever has just come off the plants. And so you get the food waste back so you can compost it. Plus they get something for go into the energy of just saving them and bringing them back and everything like that. But you have one of those every 50 houses all throughout a city. Like, it's community farming at its heart, but you just have one person that runs that farm. That's their full-time job, you know, maybe two people, and it can all go under some sort of umbrella, which can, you know, that umbrella will really be pushing the ethics. Like, these are the rules. We don't use this, we don't use this, and we don't use this, and we do this, and we compost like this. And so everything's consistent.
Sounds like a dream.
Just build, yeah, I thought that would just be perfect. And I thought, you know, like, how many people walk the dog? And they could just walk around their neighborhood while they're walking the dog and walking the kids, going to the park, and just drop their compost off on the way. And come back and maybe pick some vegetables and some fruit up and go home and, you know, have a fruit salad and something like that. And on the grass verge, you could plant like an apple tree and an orange tree and things like this. And like, if it's outside of the gate, it's a free-for-all. Anyone can have it. The birds can have it. Go for gold. But in here, we ethically farm stuff and just, yeah, that was sort of my dream. I was going to call it, with the surname Whale, I was going to call it the Humpback Harvest. And that was going to be like the banner. And then it just, like, through more research, I learned how expensive it is just to be able to secure the land, to then start that farm. And I was like, fuck, I'm going to be farming for 60 years before the land's even paid off. And it's so hard to scale, hard to find customers because there's so much pressure.
It would have to be like a government initiative to have the funds to do it, which is a shame because they can make so much more money if they sold the land to someone else. Exactly, and the supermarkets, you know, if it actually started catching on, they would put an enormous amount of pressure on you to shut you down because they would lose so much trade from having, you know, fucking Johnny No Friends farming his carrots around the corner. Whereas they want to be a conglomerate and monopolize the whole situation. And, you know, you do your carrots for cheaper than that and they just drop their price because they have other products to be able to make margin on, you know. They're selling crackers that are full of nonsense and they're like, oh, we'll just put the margin up on that so we can make the carrots cheaper and now we're cheaper than you, bro. And you're like, well, I'm going to go out of business if I keep farming carrots and I don't make any money on them. So it just became, once I started getting into it, I sort of was like, it's very difficult. You got to have a real strong sense of goal and mission to want to commit to essentially take on the supermarkets for the next 50 to 100 years. And people that really buy into the concept as well to be able to help keep that mission growing because ultimately you want to expand to more farms and you need to have more people that have the knowledge or are willing to learn how to do it all that way and everything like that. So that was one of my dreams, maybe one day. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
It's an amazing idea, you know.
You think it's a good idea?
Yeah, for sure. I would love to go to something like that.
Yeah.
You know, and get my weekly veggies and then I guess, you know, people could volunteer their time or whatever they have and then if they've, you know, they volunteer this much, they get like some extra carrots or whatever the case may be, you know. But and then it's also it's a community space where people feel safe and they build connection and which is lacking in modern society. So I love the idea. Just how easy is it to actualize, I guess.
Yeah. You need to have someone like a Mark Cuban with all the money in the world to you know come in and buy up all the land and be able to go through the legal battles that the supermarkets will try and take you in for market share, etc. Yeah. But it's like, you know, the supermarket, you can sell all the fucking processed shit. You know, you can still have your bloody toothpaste and your cleaning wipes.
They're still going to make margin,
you know? Exactly. But just leave the fruit and veggies to the locals type thing. And like, it'll be a battle. But I think it would be a battle worth fighting for anyone that has the time and energy and resources to put into fighting that battle. There's no battle is ever worth winning if, you know, you can't win it because you don't have the resources to do so. It's going to kill you on the way. But okay, so sorry, back on topic.
So many tangents.
Yeah, I reckon. Is it? To be fair, I should look how we're going. Yeah, we're getting close to the end. So making vegan cakes, featured in Vogue. How did you then transition into the bar world? What got you out of the kitchen?
So then when I was moving over here, my partner was already over here, and he's from the UK as well. He was already on the way to getting a sponsored work visa. We both kind of knew that the UK, we didn't want to necessarily live there long term, or we just needed to get away for a while. We weren't really sure what kind of the future held. So he was working on the bar at a venue down in the Wynyard Quarter, and they'd kind of said to him, we will give you a work visa kind of when the time is right. And I can't remember if he'd already applied or he was kind of in the process of getting his like duty manager qualifications and all of that. So then when I was moving over here, you know, I'd just done a working holiday in Australia. Yeah, I worked a bit here and there, but I also travelled a lot. So I spent a decent amount of money. So I just needed a job. They kind of said, you know, obviously I had waitressing experience from the pub back home. So they kind of said, oh, well, we can give Emma a job so that she's got something to kind of land on her feet, even if it's a couple of months when she then finds what she really wants to do or whatever. So I was like, okay, yeah, of course I'm going to take you up on that.
Yeah.
I did actually leave for a couple of months and I managed the Raw Kitchen, which was like a vegan place in City Works Depot for a couple of months. But they, unfortunately at the time, weren't able to sponsor me with a visa. And I'd known my partner for a long time, but we hadn't been together for that long. I kind of wanted my independence of having my own work visa, you know, not that I thought anything was going to go wrong with us, but I just wanted to have that independence and that thing to be like, okay, I've actually done this myself.
Yeah.
So then I went back to the same venue in the Wynyard Quarter because they were like, we would love to have you back. And yes, we can give you a visa.
Perfect.
Because I kind of just was doing front of house initially, and then got my own duty manager qualifications and that kind of thing. And then I took on like an events manager role. So that was how I kind of got the work visas. And I just loved it. I love events. I love kind of the planning and the organisation and the structure of it all, and whether it's kind of working out your floor plan or working out what their budget is and what you can offer them or how you can tailor your offering to suit their needs. And then seeing, you know, all these people kind of coming in, 100 of them in one go, or sometimes it was 300 venue buyout, whatever the case was. But, you know, then everything, I love kind of regular service. I love having that normal day-to-day customer interaction. But when you've got a service, it's kind of almost, in a way, slightly easier to maintain because you've got all your pre-orders, you know exactly what they're drinking. Service can be so smooth, but then you see the reward of all of these faces at the end saying, wow, thank you so much, that was one of the best functions we've ever had, or whatever the case is. But
feels
also
rewarding.
It's just so nice to kind of give people that opportunity and that experience. So then I was doing kind of event management for a couple of years, and then because I was duty manager, I would obviously be managing shifts, and if, you know, then I'd have to be able to jump behind the bar so that if it was on a quieter day of the week or like a Monday, Tuesday, I would be duty manager and I would be on the bar, but then we would have someone else coming in working on the floor. So I had to be able to make the cocktails. A bartender was never my kind of key role.
Yeah.
But I got more of an understanding because I at least had to learn the basics of how to make like the drinks on the menu.
Yeah.
And obviously I kind of had the creativity from being in the kitchen to kind of understand how the flavours work together and stuff. So that kind of then got me more into the spirits. And I think working front of house, I don't know if you can kind of tell from all the stories I've been telling today, but I'm a massive storyteller. I think that's super important in this industry because it's how you connect with people. It's how you get people to understand what you're doing or why you're doing it, why you've chosen the product that you're choosing to, why you're choosing the food that you're using using in the kitchen because of where it comes from or whatever. All my friends used to take the piss out of me when we were back at school. They'd be like, oh, Emma starts a story and she starts with what she had for breakfast this morning, even though it's got nothing to do with it. And that's maybe true, but it's how you build relationships. And going into front of house and on the bar, it kind of really opened that up to me because I wasn't just learning the stories with myself. For myself, I was learning how to share them with other people.
Yeah.
Which just was amazing. You know, when I first started working there, it was a Lion contracted bar. So I did like the Lion beer, wine and spirits trainings and kind of learning the stories about the products or the background of where it came from. Like I can't remember his name, but the guy that owns Emerson's Beer, he's blind, which is why his palate is so good, which is how he kind of got into brewing and stuff. And, you know, but sharing, you know, people don't necessarily know that kind of thing. And it adds more to it than just a thing that you consume. It gives it life.
Every great bartender has stories.
Yeah.
That's whether it's about a product or about themselves. You need to have it because sometimes you've got to fill some gaps for some customers, you know, or convince them to buy something. And people buy a story more than they buy a product.
Exactly. So then I did that I was there for, I think, 4 years, kind of doing like the event management stuff. Then I moved on to the opening team for Broken Lantern up in Pontypridd. So that was super cool to then kind of learn like the inner workings of a bar. And I was events manager there as well, so I wasn't kind of like the key player in organising stuff, but Adam's amazing with giving people advocacy. So it was really cool to kind of be part of those conversations of where should we put the tills, because we need to maximise the flow of the venue, and if we put the till here, it's maybe blocking the pass, or if we put it there, it's blocking the entrance. And you know, it was so interesting having those conversations of how to build your space successfully and to kind of use the space to set your staff up for success and to give customers the best experience. So kind of learning about like the whole venue and how you kind of orchestrate that. Had a go at a cocktail competition, just the one. It was good fun. Again, I wasn't always on the bar, but it was with Cardrona, and I thought the brand was really cool. So then got to kind of play around with how to make the drink, but then also you bring the storytelling into that, because in a competition setting, it's about how you sell the product, but how you sell the self, and then how you put those two together. So I think that's kind of also what I enjoyed about that side of things is how to tell a good story, which I guess is kind of then led me to.
You probably had the story before you even had the cocktail. You're like, how do I make the cocktail taste like the story now?
Yeah, I think so. And then I left the industry for about a year because I got my residency, and I just kind of wanted a change. I wanted to not work late nights anymore. My partner had left the industry as well, so we didn't see each other almost for like a year because he worked early mornings till mid-afternoon, Monday to Friday, and I did Wednesday to Sunday late nights kind of thing. So I left the industry for a while. And it was awesome to kind of experience a corporate setting and kind of be in that world for a little while. And it is great. There's a lot of perks about it. But then I moved back to sales with Proof & Company, looking after like bars and liquor stores. So that was quite interesting, kind of learning how to deal with liquor store owners and the different kind of
two different worlds of the liquor world.
But again, it kind of goes back to that storytelling and learning the history of the product, whether it's what my ice is going crazy today, whether it's how they've made the product or the owner's background or the location. Everything is a story, and a story is a selling point or a way to engage your consumer in some way, which I think you learn about in the kitchen, but you don't have an opportunity to share with people in the same way. So I think I do kind of miss the kitchen sometimes, like to be able to play whatever music you want or whatever. But actually, I really love to engage with people and to share, whether it's what I've learned or what I've learned or what I've been kind of told is the kind of most important things. And I love to be able to share that with people and kind of carry on the journey. And I think advocacy is so important in the industry. So
for sure, and it ties in very well to the as you mentioned, like you're a theatre drama kid.
Everything's a stage.
Exactly.
Is that Shakespeare? No. All the world's a stage. That's the thing, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you're always performing.
Yeah.
When you're, as you say, you're a storyteller. You're doing advocacy for brands and talking about, there might be 30 brands on the list, but there might be 10 that you really identify with and like their story. And so those are obviously the 10 that you push a little bit more. And so you find what you relate to the most. And I think about it whenever I'm doing sales calls. It's like I'm putting on a performance for people, and you're always putting your best foot forward. You're trying to have all of the answers to all of the questions that people are potentially going to ask, and you are selling the story more than you're just selling the product type thing.
Also like the better that you know your brands and who you're working with, the better that you can explain that to your clients at the bars and the liquor stores, and then hopefully you can pass on some of that knowledge to them. And especially when kind of you're working with higher end brands that maybe don't get the exposure to like your Bombay Sapphire or your Beefeater or whatever the case may be, because they've got the price on shelf that's, I can just grab a bottle of that, it's not going to set me back too much. But when you've got kind of higher end brands, you need to have people that also advocate for you. And at the end of the day, they might be more expensive, but hopefully you'll make more margin on them. If you can kind of share that advocacy with your friends and your clients, they can pass that on to consumers and the guests, I guess. And then that will improve the guest experience because they understand what they're drinking and they feel involved in the process, and they can have more conversations with the people that are serving them. But it's also going to benefit the industry as well because they're going to make better products, which hopefully will have more margin on them, and they can, it improves everything exponentially, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I appreciate the fact that you get to see, especially from the rep world, you still stay heavily involved with the bar world, but you get that other retail side of the world, and so you have access to a little more information and market research more than what a bartender would typically have, because a bartender doesn't really know what the general consumer is drinking at home. But we know what they're drinking in our bar, and it's normally one of our 12 menu cocktails type thing, or a speed rail gin and vodka. And so having the understanding of both worlds also could come in really handy from a sales perspective in educating bartenders on, like, a lot of people at home are really digging this sort of stuff, so it might benefit and you might get some extra sales from the bar. And so
but it kind of works both ways as well, because one thing I've learned is that obviously there's that, what people are buying in liquor stores can maybe influence the bar, but also it kind of works the other way around as well. Like a lot of brand building is done in the bars when the bartenders are going to take the time to talk to the consumers. So you can run big activations with products and get your products in a number of bars, and then the bartenders will be super excited because they're doing this cool event and they get to be part of something, which is that's what the industry is all about, is having community and being part of things. But then you can go to your liquor stores and you can say, hey, we're doing all of these activations with these products, so people are going to be talking about it. So, and here's, you can have a little taste as well. It's great. People are going to enjoy it. So people are going to have this experience in a bar. Then they're going to go to the liquor store, and if they see it on the shelf, they're more likely to grab a bottle. Or, they've had it in the bar, and then they'll go into store and they'll see me doing an in-store tasting for a couple of hours, and they'll speak to me and they'll get to try it, and then that can kind of also influence what they take from the liquor store as well. So it all influences each other, and it's all like different methods of like how you kind of deal with the two clients, but like they definitely have a lot of influence on each other.
Yeah, for sure. Love it. Yeah, I find it's such a fun world, just dealing with people and learning different aspects that you never thought you realized from being in different elements of being behind the bar. You don't realize what goes on in a bottle shop. I love all that stuff. Sort of, it's seeing the best of both worlds type thing. It's more of an advantage than a disadvantage. So what does the future hold for Miss Emma Dean?
Yeah, so I'm guessing that kind of most people within the kind of New Zealand Hospo scene have heard the news. Unfortunately, Proof & Company is closing down. We don't have a final date of operation yet. It's still kind of going through the process. Unfortunately, there was just we kind of really struggled in changing markets and the economy. We lost a few of the other markets over the last year. The most recent one was our head office in Singapore back in July.
Wow.
New Zealand was doing relatively well, all things considered, in a difficult market. But unfortunately, we had a plan for one of our brands to purchase the business. Unfortunately, that didn't go through. We lost some of our kind of key brands that we were distributing, and it was just very difficult to overcome that. There's still some exciting plans in the works to hopefully get something new up and running. Nothing's confirmed yet, so I won't say too much more than that. I don't know if it's my place to say much more than that, but I really, really hope that it works out. In the meantime, unfortunately, I did make the decision to step away from Proof & Co. It's been amazing to represent some of the brands that I've worked with over the last couple of years. Some of them have amazing stories, and just good people, you know, like Roots Gin, one of our biggest ones down in Marlborough, distiller Ben, absolutely phenomenal human being. I think a lot of people in the industry have come across him doing their WSET training. He's like #1 trainer in New Zealand or something. Wow. You know, super sad to kind of say goodbye to some of those brands, but obviously a lot of uncertainty happening at the moment with what exactly the future does hold. And so my boss Dan, another Auckland Hospo
legend,
industry legend,
I'm really trying to get Dan to come on for a chat as well.
Yeah, I'll push him on as well if I can.
Yeah. I got to reach out to him this week and get talking to him. But yeah, so yeah.
So he, you know, he's an awesome guy, and he kind of said to us, "Oh, I understand that, you know, some of you have got visas that you need to secure, some of you have got mortgages to pay, this and that. Like, would love to have you on board if there's a future for the company, but nothing's confirmed. So you need to look after #1 at the end of the day." So I actually accepted a new role end of last week. So I'll be starting with Campari in November. Yeah, so similar role. This one will just be the on-premise, which will be kind of a shame to say goodbye to some of my liquor store customers, because I've, 2 years, you built some good relationships in that time. But I think it'll be really exciting because Campari is a bigger beast. You know, it's a global company with a lot more reach. Proven Company is amazing. They've done amazing things, but it's smaller. That's the nature of it. It's more boutique. So I'm really looking forward to kind of, doing some big activations and being able to focus on one part of the industry and kind of really give it my all. Again, some great brands in there.
Yeah, great.
I don't know what to expect yet, because I haven't started. But,
exactly.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
This is the transition period. And onto like you say, it's a whole different beast. We did we did some work with Campari just for Negroni Week, been, and so we did branded ice to quite a few different venues around the country, and all pushing Negroni Week hard, and got some great feedback. They were from my experience of working with the team at Campari to do different special things like that. Super easy, super fun, good team, and
they want to get out in front of people, which is the most important thing, and they have hopefully big budgets to do so. So you get lots of opportunity for advocacy, which is, I think, as I've said, is kind of what I think is the most important thing in this industry, and getting your brand in front of people is the best way to get people to understand it and why they should choose this brand over another brand or whatever. And so I'm really excited to get stuck in and do more events, and the Auckland community's been amazing. I hadn't got the role when the announcement of Proof & Company closing had gone out, and the amount of people that reached out to me, even if it was just an Instagram message, to be like, hey, I hope you're okay, and like a few venues saying, I know that you've kind of stepped away from hospo hours, but there's a job with you here if you need something short-term, long-term. Just the support that's been there has been amazing, and it's just a real tribute to the community that's been built, into hospitality, that we look after our own and stuff, and that's been just so amazing to feel that love. And one venue, really lovely guy, that I haven't done a huge amount of work with because they were contracted with another company, but I pop in and say hi when I can, and I support with smaller activations when I can, because when it's a smaller company, that's what you do, is it's about building relationships and having those small wins. And he picked up the phone to be like, hey, I hope you're okay. And it was just kind of, I really wasn't expecting that level of support from people. So it's been a tough time kind of navigating, am I going to have a job? But the community really rallied around, and it's awesome.
Yeah, that's
I feel
amazing.
very, very lucky to be part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Kudos to the people of the industry.
Yeah,
big time. Supporting their own. It's a small community, and it's a tight knit community, and we got to have each other's backs at the end of the day. It's up to all of us really to band together to be able to keep it strong. Keep giving guests good experiences and good things to drink and everything like that. So we're coming to pretty much the end. So we finished on a breadcrumb mojito
Oh
moment.
yeah, I forgot about that.
We had a discussion about this at the start of the week. Have you thought of anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's actually there's not too many. There's probably loads of things I've done wrong, but they've kind of been small enough that I don't really remember them.
Yeah.
One thing was when I was events manager down in the Wynyard Quarter. Had this function. They were having a great night. Really looking after them. I was topping up one of the beer coolers that we'd set out for them. So I had this big tray full of bottles of Heineken that I was carrying through, and I was like, oh, so professional with my tray. And I'd learnt a lot and I'd come a long way, but I'd still only been in front of us for a couple of years. So I was carrying this tray full of bottles of beer. I don't know exactly what happened, whether I slipped or whether someone tried to grab a bottle from the tray. Never touch a service tray, just don't do it. But somehow or another, this whole tray of Heineken ended up all over the floor. A couple of them obviously then smashed, and obviously there's beer everywhere, so we had to clear that up. And then some of the shards of glass had flown up off the floor and landed up onto one of their platters, which they'd obviously paid quite a lot of money for. So then not only did we lose the beers that I'd spilled, but we also had to take the food off of the bill because they couldn't eat it anymore because who knows how much glass was in it or whatever. But because it's a function, it's all pre-prepared. It's not ingredients that are necessarily on the regular menu. So we couldn't. I mean, I think they cooked up an extra pizza or something for them to try and by way of apology, we're really sorry. They were really understanding. Accidents happen and stuff. And I think someone may have kind of knocked into me or taken something off the tray. So it was kind of my fault. I probably shouldn't have been quite so blasé about it, but they were thankfully super understanding. But we just had to throw the food away.
When you said I've got my full tray, I was like, that is
a disaster.
That is the exact attitude that you have right before it all comes crashing down. I mean, whenever I talk about the breadcrumb mojito, I was always like, I just learned how to make mojitos. I've got this. Next minute, it's just a fucking disaster. So yeah, that is the breadcrumb mojito moment attitude.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, good shit. I love that. Well, this has been a wonderful chat. Thank you very much for your time. I hope I wasn't. I know you said you were a little nervous about what we were going to talk about when we were talking yesterday, but I hope this hasn't been too nerve-wracking.
No, not at all. It's when you always build stuff up in your head, right? And
Yeah.
Just having a chat with a mate, what? There's nothing to be nervous about.
Yeah, exactly. This has been quite good as well. I learned so much. I never even knew that you were vegan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those. What's that saying, isn't it? That how do you know there's a vegan person? They'll tell you about it. I mean, it comes up in conversation a lot when I'm eating or drinking with people because then I want to find out what it is. But actually, sometimes my reputation precedes me. Someone will find out from someone else that's what I eat, so then they'll ask me about it. And most of the time, I only bring it up if I'm about to order food or drink, so I need to ask a question. Yeah. Or every now and then, it will pop up in conversation here and there, but I advocate for it big time. If you get me going, I'll go, as you can see. But again, I don't want to be that pushy, annoying person. I want people to have the space to make their own decisions. If you ask me about it, absolutely, I'll talk about it. But I don't. It doesn't need to be something that it's not everything about who I am. It's a big part of who I am, but it's not. I don't know.
Yeah. It's not your identity.
I'm not going in being like, everyone, I'm a Leo, this is my star sign, let's talk about it. It's not quite the same, but it's kind of the same, the same kind of idea. Yeah.
For sure. No, I love it. This has been great, Emma. Thank you very much.
Course. Thank you for having me.
And I'm sure we're going to do this again at some point. We'll probably have more Campari stuff to talk about. I wonder if we could all do something for Negroni Week next year or something. That'd be quite cool. Because my plan is to get 52 episodes with a different guest every time, so I have the confidence that I can fill a year of different people. And then after we get past that, start doing some repeats. Yeah. And so I think you're going to be episode 34 at this stage.
See how the industry changes kind of over the year and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And just have some people come on and, some may have transitioned out of Hospo, some into it, new faces, new competitions, just... It's an ever-changing beast, isn't it? And so there's always, bars, restaurants, companies starting, shutting. It's ever-changing. And so I like getting a bit of, some it's a little bit of a gossip time, I guess.
Yeah.
For everyone in the industry, they get to sort of like, I wonder what that venue's doing. I wonder what that one's venue. Who's running that? Where are they now? And sort of, if they can learn some of that through the podcast, happy days. Love it. But yeah, thank you, everybody.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Ciao. Love it.
That's it for this week's episode of the Breadcrumb Mojito podcast. Follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram and TikTok at the Breadcrumb Mojito podcast and look out for next week's episode.